super offensive to us because we're like, what do you mean salvage the documentary? And he said his job was to go around and like film Anisa having interactions with everyone.
300. They flew in three. I mean, I knew there was like Hassan, Jeans, like the burqa bomber lady. Like I knew there was like 4 or 5 people, but 300 people. Holy shit! This is where the money went. People had like calculated the gala to be like 250K. It might even be more than that. I think in Big Bungee's video, he calculated they flew in like 100 people or less than that.
Talk about how they were going to fire me because I reminded Ian of his father when his father would yell at him as a kid.
Oh no! What did I say? I said that this was gonna eventually come out that he was molested or like his dad hit him or whatever. Oh my god!
Right? Yeah. So and I'm still hoping that the first event was all charity, other than Ian taking.
Buddy, that ship has fucking sailed. He admitted that he took money from the like. No, man, it's tough.
His fighter.
Hold on. Wait a minute. So he was saying that during all of this, like him pretending to be a boxer arc, he was dealing with trauma or whatever. Obviously, the trauma being his abusive dad. Well, how abusive, we don't really know. All we've heard about is yelling. So Anisa, knowing that he had a dad who was at least yelling at him, maybe hitting him, we're not there yet, but decides to get him involved in boxing so he can, like, is she trying to make him relive? Like, what is the game?
Right. Well, I know them from Creator Clash.
Do you see? He was casting a What Elf spell, and then they took him to, or a High Elf spell, and then they took him off the screen. He has to cast a spell at the beginning of the interview. It's a charm spell, like in Oblivion, you do the charm like 1,000 for 1 second. That's what he's just doing there.
I helped a lot of the fighters.
So this guy was the boxing trainer. He trained a bunch of the Creator Clash people.
Creator Clash
content, and Ian promised us that he was going to put out this documentary that was going to share the journey of how Michael took this.
That's true. There was a promise made by Ian, and you can find a bunch of clips of it because he repeated a bunch that he was going to make like a behind the scenes documentary of Creator Clash to show like the training, show everything, and that must be what she was working on. And if I saw it correctly, she's going to claim that she was not paid for that. And obviously, you may say, well, why would she get paid if it didn't release? Well, it's like when you contract someone to do the work, you're paying for the work. You're not paying for the release.
Charging them. So, for example, instead of charging him $150 an hour, I would charge him $100 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the way, I've heard that from other professionals now. I'm starting to hear people say that.
So this is another example of someone who like maybe they didn't do work for free, but they like lowered their prices and stuff under the assumption that this was a charity event. So the claim he made in the last video, where it's just like, no one was, it's like not like people work for free. It's like, well, first of all, there was literally a guy who worked for free, and then you have this example of someone who's lowering the rate for you.
Who, like one of the announcers,
this is why people feel betrayed and fucking hate you. That's why they're coming on this interview, because you do he does shit like this, and you can tell that it's a regular thing. I mean, I think they're going to explain here in the video, but when you have someone like Ian who is learning about empathy at 36 or whatever, like I mean, is he? I don't want to say he's autistic because autism is based, right? And it would maybe be a compliment to say he has autism. I don't want to do that.
Also promised a bonus on CC1, and we never got it. But because Michael was so nice, he didn't want to like make Ian feel uncomfortable and ask Ian.
How many people were promised shit that didn't get it? It's like every single person involved with this, either like they were promised that there would be a graduated pay scale that didn't happen. They were promised they'd get this, like.
About it. I was pretty upset by it, and I thought it wasn't fair because how is it that we put on this great event, we raised $1.3 million for charity, and he promised us a bonus, and then right after the event, he just kind of pretend like he's too busy to check in with us.
I trained him from July until May, and then I didn't see him again pretty much for...
This is funny too, because normally you think, whatever, so he wasn't training, but like one of Anisa's big like narc fantasies is that they're like super pro boxers who take it super seriously, when really he like doing the bare minimum training.
Several months.
And Anisa did in fact pay for Hassan and all of his compadres to travel to and stay at Creator Clash 2.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so there we go. I mean, that's what people had assumed, is that they had paid for, the gala and the second one where you had Hassan and all the other nobodies, that they had fully like footed that bill, and now we have confirmation. Because Hassan is like he's just a starving socialist, right? He's a starving artist, just trying to ply his politics or whatever.
Super offensive to us because we're like, what do you mean salvage the documentary? And he said his job was to go around and like film Anisa having interactions with everyone.
300. They flew in three. I mean, I knew there was like Hassan, Jeans, like the burqa bomber lady. Like I knew there was like 4 or 5 people, but 300 people. Holy shit! This is where the money went. People had like calculated the gala to be like 250K. It might even be more than that. I think in Big Bungee's video, he calculated they flew in like 100 people or less than that.
Everyone.
we're so invested.
And it would always drive me crazy because I could tell Ian wasn't really proud of his work. So one of the big things is like it was very hard to get Ian to train.
I mean, this is kind of like the Idubbbz thing, or not. This is the Idubbbz thing. This is kind of like the Sam Hyde documentary where he refused to release it until he was forced to. That's what they should do. If she has it, she should just release it because it'll force him to release his version, just like with Sam Hyde. It'll be the same thing all over again. I bet you there's some stuff in there. There's got to be for him not to have released it.
For him as well, because he was dealing with like a lot of trauma and a lot of issues when we were in our boxing sessions.
What issues? What fucking trauma? This guy, like before, I mean, he's probably doesn't got the money now because he's an idiot. He wasn't smart and invested in Sam Hyde shirts like me, but this guy was like a millionaire. He had a house. He has a wife. Well, the wife's crazy. But like, what trauma was this guy molested as a kid or something? Is that the big reveal? Is that the big reveal that he was abused as a kid and that's why he hates his dad or something? And he's decided now at 36 to deal with the trauma. Like, what is going on? What trauma could he possibly have other than trauma that he's like inflicted on himself by becoming a fighter and getting smacked in the face or marrying Anisa?
With a lot of fighters,
he's having acid flashbacks to when he got bullied in school. You know, honestly though, did he get bullied in school? Because I feel like if he got bullied in school, he'd be better. It's kind of controversial. I think that there is a social good to certain kinds of bullying. Okay, it's just peer pressure. It's group discipline. Okay. If you have a male friend group, you should be bullying each other when you step out of line because it motivates like good behavior. Now, obviously, there's a point where you can take it too far, but like verbal or just like pranks or whatever, that's good. I feel like he wasn't pushed into the locker because if he was, wouldn't he be more confident now? Like if he had ever stood up to it, he would like know not to do some of the stupid shit he does because he's gonna get shoved in. I don't know. It could go either way.
He goes, I'm through with this boxing shit. I've been doing it for 4 years. And I was like, well, wait a minute.
What I want him to do is just openly say that he only ever got into it because of Anisa and was only ever stayed into it because of her.
You trained for 10 months for the first fight. You took 6 months off. You trained 4 months for the second fight. And then you never came back to boxing again for over a year. So I'm like, how are you sick of boxing? Like, you obviously hate boxing. So it was hard for me as a coach to just get him to train. Also, like half of the sessions, we'd have to train Anisa. So
why? Even though she's not fighting?
Every session, instead of being just training for Ian for a fight.
So she pushes him into boxing, then won't even let him like dedicate it to it. She's got to insert herself even into the training.
I have to take half of the session and train Anisa.
Whose idea was that?
So funny.
Hers.
Yeah, it's all hers.
With like all sorts of drama to the gym. One day she was super dramatic and I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And she related Will Smith slapping to Chris Rock to somehow Ian having to defend her online. So she was...
Everything that's ever happened is a direct... You know how like the way schizophrenia presents is basically... You see connections where they don't exist. Now, sometimes they do exist, and that's why schizophrenics are really interesting because they'll see connections that do actually exist and no one else sees. But the like pathology of it is that you relate everything together, even stuff that's not related. Like that's what this sounds like. Is that she just relates like not saying she's schizophrenic, but like in a narcissistic way, she relates everything that happens to everybody else to her. So the Chris Rock Will Smith slap over some stupid joke is directly related to her. Although now that I think about it, there is kind of a relation there because isn't Will Smith a cuck? Like that's part of their thing is they have some open relationship. So it is kind of like Ian.
It was like super dramatic the whole day. And I'm like, I can't even train Ian today.
Yeah, this cuck is exactly.
She's so dramatic. So that was cool.
Yeah. She's on Chris. She's on the slapper side, right? Like she was empathizing with Will.
She felt like she felt like Will was Ian.
He had to slap.
Yeah, literally, my cuck. This much more famous, much richer cuck is just like my cuck.
Yeah, Ian has to slap all the people that insult her, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm still hoping that the first event was all charity, other than Ian taking.
Buddy, that ship has fucking sailed. He admitted that he took money from the like, no, man, it's tough.
His fighter purse. But what was crazy about that is then you said you had a $27,000 bonus. And I was always under the assumption that there was no bonus because even though
no one knows what's happening. This whole event is such a shit show. Nobody knows who's getting paid, why they're getting paid, who they're getting paid. It sounds like basically the way this event was run is if you annoyed Ian enough, he would just keep giving you money until you went away. And then if you didn't and you just assumed it was run like an actual business, you just didn't get shit. You got no money at all.
He was using the after party to help promote the event. But I have no idea how an event...
How is it? It was after the event.
After the fight will generate money for the fight.
Well, so that's it.
What the fuck? why even say that?
In his most recent video of concern trolling, in the beginning, he said...
And the funny thing is, none of the people who went to it, I guess you could say, okay, well, the way it's promoting it is we're giving all of these losers a gala in exchange for them promoting the event leading up to it. But they didn't. I don't think Hassan ever talked about Creator Clash 2.
Yeah. We found out it was a red carpet event that they flew Getty images in.
Isn't the other... the other thing, the way you could justify the gala is that the gala raises money, because that's usually what galas are, is that it's a bunch of rich people getting together at a party and they donate a whole bunch of money to, you know, the High Elf Pedophile Fund or whatever, that all just gets embezzled, right? But or the horse charity, right? Because that is like almost borderline. I mean, that's what rich people do, is they make a fake charity to basically set up other people in their family. That's what the horse charity is. Anyway, why didn't they just try to raise money at the, like, Hassan ended up donating to Creator Clash 3. He could have donated at the gala. The gala could have been a fundraising gala, but it wasn't.
So they straight up flew Getty images to take pictures for the event.
So it sounds like they really didn't like this couple. Maybe, and unfortunately, wow, this is like mid-spell. Look at this. Wow, this is wild. This is like right when the lightning's going to shoot from his fingertips. It sounds like they really didn't like this couple, and that they didn't want him to go to the gala. And I wonder why they didn't like them. And that's also why they didn't release the documentary. Maybe lover's quarrel. Maybe it could go either way. It could either support the claims or go against it.
So the reason we found this out was because I wanted Ian to start doing 2 training sessions a day. And I said, Ian, you need to start doing 2-a-days. And he was like, why should I do 2-a-days? And I told him, I was like, Ian, you're not good at boxing, man. My brand is at stake.
Because you suck, bud.
So you need to do 2-a-days. That's what pro boxers do. And so
Wait, did you actually say that to him?
Yeah, yes. And then I told him, I said, my brand is on the line. I said, you can go back to YouTube. My whole life is fighting and coaching fighters. And I'm like, so if you don't have...
Wow, you suck so much at boxing that you fighting is going to make people think I'm the worst coach ever. That's so funny.
A good performance, that's going to look bad on me. After the first event...
It's funny, because you could apply that same sort of, like, this is bad for my... I mean, didn't LA Beast literally say that the reason he was dropping out is because he doesn't want his brand associated with Creator Clash? So it's just like... all these people are telling Ian, it's like, your behavior, your conduct, your competence is so noxious that it will like have blowback on even being associated with him, with you. And he doesn't take any of that. He doesn't internalize any of that, it sounds like. Because he's like super, smug and confident in that video we just watched where he's just like, yeah, I'm on the right side and all this stuff. Dude, they have like mind hacked him. Like Anisa, or I don't think it's just her, but he's just totally, it's just delusion. Like he honestly thinks he's winning.
My brand is at stake. Well, he went and told Anisa that I told him my brand was at stake. So the next day she comes into the gym super mad and she's like, our brand is at stake.
So he ran to mommy. He got home from school. He ran to mommy and said, I'm being bullied by my boxing coach. Who's telling me to just do the basic work. And so then mommy comes into the gym the next day and is like, you need to leave my little Ian alone. What? That's so pathetic. A grown man having to run home to his wife and then have the wife come in and talk down to him for making a very basic request, which is just, can you please take the fight seriously for your own event?
$500,000 in the hole right now.
I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that at that time. I think a lot of the fighters would have liked to have known that. I don't think none of them needed to be in the dark about that,
Yes, completely. Well, and that's the thing. They said you guys didn't promote enough, but they weren't honest about the fact that they were spending the money from the ticket sales on the hotel, on flying people in, on all these other things. So, it was just
those decisions, the gala decisions, were made while in the red.
Yes,
I have no shot about that.
So she was like, we're already down 500,000.
Wait.
And she still had time to cancel stuff?
What did he just say? Did he say that the gala decision was made when they already... Because he did say that earlier. He said that even the day of the event, they already knew that they were in the red because of the ticket sales. Oh my God, that's so much worse. So they already knew that they were in the red and they decided to... Why would they do that? Because they would have known that all of the money would be coming out of their pocket at that point, right? That they were essentially just personally paying for the gala and they did it anyway. And then they had the gall to make the video where they're like, Creator Clash didn't make any money, please help us. When they with open eyes, knowing that it would be coming straight out of their pocket, did this gala anyway. That speaks to this being a scam. Like, that speaks to actual fraud, that they knew that they would get bought out, that they would sell their stake, which is what obviously eventually has happened now with Crusader Class 3, and that they would eventually, like, that it was whatever, that they were spending, that they were just openly spending charity money and that they knew they'd get paid out. That's so much worse. It was already really bad. But before it looks like just straight incompetence. It just looks like negligence. It looks like stupidity of the highest order. But when you're telling me that you know that every dollar you spend past this point is coming out of your own pocket and coming out of charity money, and then you do this whole gala anyway, that's like malicious.
I have a question about that.
So she was like, we're already down 500,000. And she still had time to cancel stuff when she said that? Like, how before the event was that?
I mean, it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks before the event. I mean, they knew
She
they were
made some
500K
last minute moves. Yeah.
They knew they were 500K in the hole long before that, right? That's just when they yelled at us about it.
Yeah.
So they could have definitely made moves to reduce spending.
We wanted that award show so bad the next day. They really wanted to have that award show so she could give out awards. Once again, you had heard like Ian
regret throwing the after party.
Yeah,
I think that was a lot of her words, because like he would say things that she would say, and so for example,
Dude, there must have been some crazy like pitch from Anisa where she was like, "Okay, no, we still got to do this event because it's going to end up making us money in the end because we're going to network with all these super hot, rich people, and then they're going to give us all these opportunities. So don't worry, honey, it'll all pay off in the end," which is just like ridiculous.
About how she wants like them to be there and she wants to be a part of their group. So a lot of it, and then so that's why like, and then the first year was like during that girl's birthday.
That's so pathetic. That's so pathetic that you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get into a specific group. That's such high school thinking. And it's so like I would not even expect a high schooler to be that dumb. To be, well, I guess they are. Like this thing like what people would do in like rich towns where you have a guy who isn't that popular but has rich parents and he'll throw a house party, right? And it's to basically reputation wash him. And he throws the house party so people think he's cool or whatever, and that he gets friends. It's a pretty common, like, that's what this sounds like. It sounds like some like rich kid high school shit where no one likes you because you're annoying and you're weird or you don't have friends or whatever. So you throw a house party at your parents' big rich house, like big mansion, and then the tacit sort of unspoken understanding is in exchange for giving people a place to get drunk and party for a night in high school, people are going to like you now. You're going to be cool. You're going to be like in now. That's literally what this is at like a massively higher scale of like hundreds of thousands of dollars. She is trying to buy like being a cool kid by throwing a house party in a super expensive hotel with a gala.
Sorry. Knowing that detail, it breaks my heart that she had to settle for denims.
Him on a phone call, and that's how they met Mike Leonardi. And so Mike was a manager in Vegas, and he knows promoters, and he knows how to promote boxing events.
Yeah, I mean, this is just further confirmation of the Big Bungee theory and from others that Mike Leonardi is the only reason even the first one succeeded. That he that's the only reason that even happened.
Just your opinion. Do you think that they were intentionally misleading with any of this, or just sloppy in their execution?
We have moved so far from the like we're just retarded arc. Like that was the immediately after Career Clash 2, and leading up to now, I'd say the majority probability theory was they're just really retarded. But after all this stuff, the 34%, them lying to the coach and not like all this stuff, no, this is malicious. They knew exactly what they were doing.
In communication,
we're so far past.
I think it was just like that's the thing. Like I still I always had the best. You want to be around people that want the best for you, and I always wanted the best for Ian.
And then after the event was so great, they just went rogue on us, It's interesting because we invite them to our house for Thanksgiving. We're so nice to them. We open up our lives to them. Yeah. They've met my kids, like our kids, And
well, you treated them as like friends. And I mean, that is kind of a mistake, is to be in this business relationship and then also try to make it a friendship. That's usually not a good thing. But, you opened it up and they just don't seem to even understand. Like, and it's the same thing with Ethan, where they didn't want to speak up with him about the CPS calls. Like, they just have no conception of reciprocal, like unconditional sort of friendships. And it's funny because he brings that up in the Ethan videos. Like, I didn't want this to just be like trading favors when he asked him. Like, I don't come when Ethan asks you to talk about the CPS call, it's not him cashing in a favor. It's him just asking you to be a friend.
Gym, and the coach of the head guy of the gym, the owner, says that he doesn't believe women should fight. So Anisa gets really upset and decides the owner of the gym said that.
The owner
okay. So Anisa got so offended that she said Ian needs to spar now today, and we're like,
so I disagree with what this guy said. Rather than debate, obviously you should ignore it because there's some truth to the idea that women shouldn't fight. But anyway, or at least like in this context. So instead of like either ignoring it, that would have been the best thing. But let's say you really want to show this guy, you just talk to him. right? You just talk about the merits of the concept. No, you throw your husband in. You're just like, here, go get the shit kicked out of you. That'll prove my point. Like,
and then so
and
I'm like,
man, to get slaughtered by Alex Ernst, who's like some kind of like boxing savant or something. He fucking annihilated him, dude.
Yeah.
So what happened was, it was funny because Alex has really thick glasses. So he took his glasses off and he can't see anything. So he just started swinging haymakers.
Oh, he couldn't even see.
Oh no, but me and Mike froze.
Okay, and also before the filming, so before they did the sparring, Anisa and Ian runs up to me and they're like, Kate, make sure you film this because we want to put on our YouTube channel in the documentary, how does 3 week of training look like and 3 months of training look like? Because Ian at that time had been training for 3 months with us. And so I filmed
Alex 3 weeks.
Okay, so now we're learning why the video didn't come out, because it just makes Ian look like a total bozo. It would be like expecting Worski to come out with his training footage for the 2 times he went to the gym, right? It just makes him look like a total idiot.
Yeah. Well, and the thing,
dude.
I swear,
Dude, listen to the audio of any corner. That's how the corner's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yes,
Throw a punch, man. Oh, here, I have the reference here. Let's watch it.
Alex is a freak of nature, I gotta say.
I remember watching that, and everyone was like, what was that? Because he kind of...
It is crazy that, like, you already have issues where they'll go on podcasts and say directly contradictory stuff, and people bring it up. The famous one, you know, where Anissa says that Ethan didn't know that they moved, and then there's a clip of them on the podcast saying that they moved, him acknowledging that they moved, or like... them talking about Creator Clash being a charity, and then there's the clip of them saying the primary goal of it is to make money. But even what they say on the pod, like even within those contradictions, there's even more contradictions from the people who are actually at the events that they relate. So they're just constantly lying. Like everything they say pretty much is a lie. And so then that's why I don't blame people for starting to call this fraud, starting to call this malicious, starting to say that this isn't just 2 idiots.
Everybody could tell he got pretty rattled by that fight.
Oh yeah.
You did you say? And I'm gonna. Did you say he cried?
Oh, he had to have a meeting.
Yeah. So after that, so he was crying at the gym afterwards, and I said, and
so this is why the document. Okay.
Again, I hate to hate on him for that because it's very emotional.
Yeah, for sure.
In some hard sparring, right? Yeah. So but then what happened afterwards was horrible because then we went back to the hotel and then they were eating at Denny's and they said we need to have a meeting. So I had to go to Denny's and they pretty much then talked about how they were going to have to fire me because I reminded Ian of his father when his father would yell at him as a kid.
Oh no! What did I say? I said that this was gonna eventually come out that he was molested or like his dad hit him or whatever. Oh my god! So that's the trauma. So that's yes. So when he said earlier that he was like dealing with trauma, it's that daddy told me to clean my room. Yelled at me to clean my room. That's so funny. It's so like you could just. It's like malicious, stupid, and also just massive. It's like when I said Anissa is the male or the female boogie because it's like low IQ narc. It's like Idubbbz is too. Like, and I don't know if she like influenced him to start acting that way or he always was, and that's why they're together.
And so I had to relearn how to talk to him. And at the time, I didn't even mind.
I had to relearn how to talk to him. So just no one's allowed to raise their voice around Idubbbz, even in cases where it's necessary, because his dad yelled at him to clean his room.
Because I'm like, as a coach, I need to learn how to talk to different fighters anyways. Like, communication is the most important thing. One of the most important things as a coach. So
yeah.
I was trying
You can tell Eden's holding it in. Like, he wants to talk shit about this.
to turn it into a positive, but it definitely was. He almost got fired at Denny's.
Yeah, exactly. After that sparring session. But
I almost farted at Denny's.
Yeah, Michael and I rewatched the sparring, right, with him and Alex Ernst. And
so they do have the footage. Release the footage. Lady, release the footage. You just confirmed that you had it. You just rewatched it. Release everything.
You can clearly hear that.
Seriously, do it. I mean, where did they train? Okay, here's the thing. Where did they train? If it wasn't in California, it's not a dual consent state, so you can just release it.
Anisa was screaming louder than Michael.
Yeah, so he was literally yelling at him worse than I was. But I was like, but apparently I was the one that I yelled at him and he froze.
It triggered him and he thought of his dad. That's what she said.
So we've had to deal with things like that all the time where it was like, he wasn't even supposed to spar that day. Like, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
He didn't have a mouthpiece. He didn't have a mouthpiece, so they had to buy a $20 mouthpiece from the gym and put it in the microwave. It didn't even fit. It was ridiculous.
When you plan to spar like that, you want to prep. You don't want to just go into it.
You want to be, like, ask AB, you want to be mentally prepared for a sparring day.
Okay, because it's
yeah, my first sparring day, like, it was so fucking bad. Like, when I left and I came back, Wally started jumping all around the gym. He's like, I never thought I'd see you again. He goes, okay, the fact that you came back, he's like, now I'm in.
Holy shit.
But yeah, it was scary. I was supposed to spar Alex Ernst, actually, because me and Alex were talking.
Alex had a really good coach. Alex had 2 hours before the event, and then he left right after the event. So he didn't stay for anything, Alex's coach. But he was a really good coach.
So he wasn't prepared to spar, and then Anisa put him up to it because she heard the owner of the gym.
I'm still fumbling my mind about this. You reminded me of my dad yelling at you. Is that as bad as it got? Or is there going to be more revelations here that his dad like hit him or something? Because, okay, just think about this for a minute. So, hold on, wait a minute. So he was saying that during all of this, like him pretending to be a boxer arc, he was dealing with trauma or whatever. Obviously the trauma being his abusive dad. Well, how abusive, we don't really know. All we've heard about is yelling. So Anisa, knowing that he had a dad who was at least yelling at him, maybe hitting him, we're not there yet, but decides to get him involved in boxing so he can, like, is she trying to make him relive? Like, what is the game here? Or was there some kind of stupid therapy speak, like, you have to confront, like, your trauma by doing, like, reliving it so that it doesn't, you can get over it or whatever? Because usually it's the opposite. Usually what happens is people relive their trauma. That's why, like, people who are abused become abusers, right? That's the theory, right? Is that they relive their trauma, and then that's why it's, like, bad. That's why when you abuse someone, you're usually creating, like, another abuser. But in this case, it's like they intentionally did, like, and this is like, yeah, I want you to go through this again. And, you know, maybe she would justify it by saying she read some stupid book, or, you know, she read The Secret, right? And The Secret affirmations told her that if you make Idubbbz get beat up like his dad did to him, he'll get over it. But that's clearly not the way. Why am I even giving her the benefit of the doubt? It's probably just malicious. She's probably just like, yeah, I just want him to. I like derive pleasure by seeing my husband get beat up, and then compare it to his childhood abuse.
Is the owner of the gym who's not related to the fight really? He wasn't there. He didn't care. It was just some comment. So she had to prove something to the owner to have him beat up Alex, who doesn't have anything to do with him. They have a weird thing. They do this where they go, oh, really? If you think I'm an asshole, then you should hear about what this kid did, totally unrelated to me at the shooting range. You should hear what the owner of this building said. Who it's like, what are you talking about? What's that got to do with anything?
Yeah, well, yeah, because they know they can't deny that they're assholes. There's too much evidence. So their only argument is, well, yeah, I'm an irredeemable asshole, but this guy is too.
And more athleticism. But
training.
What happened on her first sparring session, I would always tell her, you can't just come forward. You can't just come forward. And so she had a sparring session, and she was just trying to walk forward, and then a girl punched her. And then I was actually watching Ian, so I wasn't even watching. I just heard a big pop. And then I looked over, and she was kind of frozen. And then she said she had a concussion. Then the next day she went.
So here we go. This is where the CTE came from. She did one sparring where she got hit. She got punched once, and got CTE from it.
Told the doctor that she had a headache and sensitivity to light and pretty much all the concussion
the whole
symptoms.
entire list, like, on forever.
And then so we were like, oh, well, no, she has a concussion. And then Ian's like, well, she's kind of a hypochondriac.
Yeah,
so we're like, oh, okay.
Ian actually
no.
reassured me because I was worried at that
She's
time.
not gonna like hearing that.
Yeah, I tried to check on her, and he reassured me. He was like, hey, don't worry about her. She's actually hyperglycemic, and she does this often where she self-diagnoses herself and freaks out.
She's not gonna like that.
That's like, don't worry about it. She'll be fine. And I was like, okay, then why is she continuously talking about it on all her media outlets?
The thing that drove me crazy.
Is that why she said she couldn't box because she had a, like, do you remember what it was?
She was an athlete in high school, and she had previous concussions, if I remember correctly, or something where the doctor told her it's too big of a risk.
Well, definitely don't box then.
Also, the doctor's going to tell you what you tell them.
Well, yeah, of course she's going to say it was in high school because it's unverifiable, right? You can make up whatever story you want. Right?
If I come in and say, I'm going to be like, have headaches, they're going to say you have a concussion, right? So, and then
she just read the diagnostic like checklist.
The part of the story that drove me crazy was how all of a sudden she went from saying she had this concussion to she's had all these concussions while she was training. And then by the time she was on like your guys' show and these other shows, she's like, I've had 11 minors and 2 majors. And I'm like, I've been around concussions my whole life. And nobody's like, that was a minor. That was a major, you know? And so I was like, well, if you had 2 majors, that would mean you were like completely unconscious. And she said she got them from like lacrosse and hockey. So I'm like, you're telling me that you got knocked out completely unconscious on the field. And then a few weeks later, they're like, put her back on the field.
Yeah, no, everything she says is just like a narc lie. That's like the low IQ narc thing. It's not the narc makes her make the lie. The low IQ makes it the stupidest lie ever that everyone immediately knows is a lie.
I'm like, that makes 0 sense to me. The last straw. Like, you don't even. She's like, you guys don't have to be there. We didn't like. She was practically telling us she didn't want us.
Disrespectful.
Yeah.
Crazy.
For no reason.
Yeah, and the reason why I also want to say the reason.
Okay, so now what I think the reason why they turned on them is, first of all, because they were a witness to too much. Okay, they saw too much of the Worski training routine. They saw too much of the humiliation rituals and stuff. And so they wanted to cut them off before they could see any more, basically almost preempting this, like them coming out and talking. The other reason I think they cut them off is because Anisa realized that she saw through it. Because she just said that the guy was being optimistic, trying to think it would all work out, even into Creator Clash 2. But she, immediately after Creator Clash 1, was like, okay, these are crazy, like, sociopath type people. And Anisa probably knew that she knew because she noticed the difference in behavior and whatnot. And it's, it's like the vampire getting found out and then the house to kill the witness.
why like Michael and I, we were waiting for them to tell us about the gala, but they never did. So they waited so long. We got to Florida. We were 2 weeks away from the event, and they still haven't said anything to us. And at this time, all of Ian's sparring partners, there was probably like 4 or 5 of them that flew out, or I think 6 of them total, flew out from Washington, paid for their own flights, their own hotel, and they're all coming there to support Ian. And they all have.
So they made the sparring partners pay for their own shit, but then paid for 300 random influencers. Full all expenses paid. That's so bad.
I've been helping Ian throughout his fight camp.
Such a dick. Like, this is such a dick move. The sparring partners are like, why you're even able to do this fight. They've directly supported the actual event to like for it to occur, and you don't pay for them, but you pay for fucking Hassan, Jeans, and Burqa suicide bomber lady.
Camp, right? And so they're asking us about the gala. We don't know about it. So we were afraid that if all his teammates showed up, they might not be able to get into the gala. How embarrassing would that be if his teammates are not able to get into the gala because she doesn't want them to be a part of it? Also, so that's why we asked her directly. And that's when she told us about the negative 500K. That's when she told us about why would we want to be there. Yeah. It made no sense.
Also, all of his sparring partners paid for themselves to be there.
Correct.
Nobody, like they would give him tickets to the event, but they didn't help anybody else get there. That was a part of his team other than...
up until now, I haven't really like felt that much. I don't like hate Idubbbz or anything. I just think it's like funny, like how stupid this whole thing has been, and them just being seemingly just like bumbling morons over this whole event. But this stuff that he's talking about in this interview is making me actually dislike him. Like actually be like, this guy is unironically like a piece of shit.
About his potential body odor.
I mean, I say it's true. I smell all the time. It's horrible. A good example is this, because Michael's so nice and doesn't want to say it. But
I'm glad he brought his Asian wife, because she's a lot more hardcore about this than he. Like, he's trying to kind of walk the line where she's like, they stink, like they're retarded, they eat shit at Denny's.
When we're in fight camp, he does 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, okay?
For the first fight he did. Well,
yeah,
for the first part of the first fight, not for the actual camp.
Correct.
During the camp was when he cut out his 2 days, and that was the most important time to be doing 2 days.
Yes, so he would smell so bad that when he comes back in the afternoon to train, he doesn't shower in between his sessions. And so like the coaches that are training other, members there would just like look at us with the weirdest face, like a stink face. And then Michael would try to take...
This is, now it's starting to sound like not just... At first when she's like, yeah, she stinks, it's like, yeah, of course you confirm that. You fucking hate this guy. Sure, yeah, he stinks. But this is like an actual story that sounds real.
Into the corner where there's not a lot of members of the gym, so they don't have to smell it.
I try to take the open doorway.
Yeah, so
they put him in the gym corner because he stinks. Oh my gosh. They have the Ian exclusion zone. It's like fucking Chernobyl.
It does happen. I'm not lying. It's true. He doesn't shower. Yeah.
I just didn't understand why she wouldn't tell him. I'm like, what is going on here?
So, she tells the audience. She humiliates him
in her Discord. He's fine releasing everything, but she won't talk to him about it. I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, and
like I didn't feel like
guys, I gotta sit on that for a sec. He stunk up the gym so bad you had to move him away from people.
Yes, he had the exclusion zone.
Okay. Hold on, let me just sit with that. Anisa was talking shit about me and us even before Creator Clash 1.
Yeah, she had said, like, I forget what she said, like, but she had said that she didn't like associating with you guys for some reason, but then...
Wow, okay, so this has been premeditated. This wasn't just... They wanted, this has been, okay.
Like you had been doing better or something?
That makes it look so much worse, because one of the few kind of things you can put in Ian's corner on this whole feud is just is that like he didn't want it. He turned at like the last, in his mind, right? He turned at like the last possible moment, like he tried to stay friends, but this is totally blowing that up.
So they were Jewish to go on your show. It was it was vague, but she would talk. She would kind of talk poorly about a lot of different people, so it was easy to just lose track of it. But yeah, she definitely had mentioned like something about you and Hila, and like, or maybe it was just you, but somebody had done something that had offended her at one point.
I'm sure.
So she felt like you guys weren't like
it's
good people.
Probably like the most schizo narc thing, like when they came and did the podcast like 5 years ago. Ethan looked at her wrong or something.
But then once you could do their show, but she loved AB and Lena.
Since you mentioned the Getty that they flew the Getty images in, the only one I've seen is this guy. This is Froggy Tonic, and he showed up here.
Oh, jump scare!
I think he mistook the event for.
Wait, this is Frog. They've shown this picture. I didn't know who this was. Why they kept showing it. This is the guy who was talking shit on Twitter and got like basically set this whole thing off because they were defending the CPS call. This is. They look like they're cosplaying as Che, but gay. And that's like obviously the stereotype is all these people think they're Che, but this is like Che gay. He's in gorilla face, like not gorilla animal, but like gorilla warfighter. He's in terrorist face.
Right.
I'm still thinking about that outfit. Like it really is. It's like he went to military surplus and got the like stuff that was never opened because it looks like pressed and everything. It's not. It doesn't look worn. And then you get like a beret. Like he really does think that he's some kind of guerrilla warfighter in the jungles of Cuba or whatever.
I saw that like all they had to do was help you guys with the CPS call, and they wouldn't, and then they turned completely negative on you and actually supported us more than they ever supported us. So I was like, this makes no sense. It didn't make sense why he would attack the biggest. So I was a part of everything for the first event and a lot of stuff for the second event. And I can tell you, the most fans at those events was your fans.
Yeah, it was. People were saying it's a H3H3 fan meetup.
Yes,
it was your people.
And that's why it was like so crazy, just from like a event planning perspective, to turn on Ethan.
That's just good business.
Now, of course, he would say, "Well, it's my principles, bro," or whatever. But
right, he's like, let's start a blood feud with the one person who's promoting this event. Just kind of sobering to learn that she was, talking shit before even that event, and then they come on and act like we have.
Yeah, and they were still interacting at that point. Well, basically, what it sounds like is they recognized that they needed Ethan to promote the event, and so then just played nice with him in public while hating him privately. Which is funny, because that's like a high elf maneuver. That's like something I would expect out of Ethan.
Been friends.
Ian was tired.
Yes.
She would tell Ian when he was tired. One time we ended sparring, and afterwards everybody's hanging out, and she walks up to Ian and she goes, "You're hungry."
Yes.
And then so they had to leave because Ian was hungry.
Oh no! It is like a weird maternal, like, mother thing. From him going and complaining to her, and then having her go into the gym and defend him, to this, it's like he wants a mom.
So she tells Ian when he was
which is weird because he had a mom, right? It's the dad who was bad.
hungry. We're like, what the hell?
So
It's so
is this what is this?
It's
People that would take their shit.
Nobody wants to
Like,
train him.
to the gym with her attitude, or want to change the music at the gym.
Oh, tell me
all
that. One time she came and tried to put on her own music, right?
For the whole gym, so everybody's got to listen to her stupid shit.
Yeah, and then we got into it because
That's the other thing, good on this guy for coming out and telling this, but a lot of the shitty stuff that these people have done is enabled by others. And I don't know if it's just because they're in this sort of like gay influencer left wing, I don't know, rich people's thing, but how has no one just literally like said, shut the fuck up, or like smacked him or something like that? Because like, if you act like this long enough, there's like a time preference where that eventually does happen. And you think that at some point, somebody would have just stopped enabling them. And I guess that's what people do when they leave, because you can't like fix these people because they have like severe personality disorders, clearly. You can't really fix them, so all you can do is just disengage, like no contact, kind of like what everybody seems to do, is just, like just get out of their sphere. But I'm surprised they haven't run into like the wrong guy, you know what I mean? Like who when they start acting this way, it like not necessarily smacks them, although that could happen, but just does not enable their shit. And it's just like, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear this anymore.
Into a tiff because she wanted to change the music. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
So
what song was it?
Oh man, I would have to look it back up because I was actually in shock because some of the songs, even if you like that kind of music, because it was maybe some like indie punk rock music,
dark.
But what was just weird, and so not gym music at all. So I was just like, hey, I was trying to tell her that because one of the other coaches was like, hey, I'm gonna change it now because she was playing the music
After
at the
1
gym.
hour.
But she shouldn't have even been on the aux in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be at somebody else's gym and then hop on their speaker. That's crazy to me. So she hopped on the speaker, and then one of the coaches was like, hey, I'm gonna take you off now, and she was like, oh, like offended by it, and then I made the mistake of being like, well, that wasn't really gym music, and she was like, he doesn't play gym music, and then I said, what was kind of emo, and then she said, what's that?
Hooba stank.
Yeah. She said,
Was it Evanescence?
Yeah. She said the other guy plays emo music. And then after that, I said, well, it was kind of like 12-year-old girl emo music. Allow my other fighters to come in.
No, that's insane. Who the fuck changes music for the whole ass gym?
It was crazy. So she ended up leaving. We were supposed to actually do her pad session, but then she left.
She cried.
And she had to go out to her car. I mean, I don't want to talk about how she her feelings, but anyway, so she was super offended. So then the next day, what had happened was
The music? Oh
next day they came in and they told my wife that they don't know how she could date me because I don't respect women. And so because
that is so not only so Anisa has a meltdown because she can't play her shitty like girl emo, her all the things she said, right, on her weird lesbian emo, and then she goes to the distance of being like, you're a bad woman because you're with this guy, because that's the implication, right, is because he does have a wife, and so by saying like there should be no woman that's with you because you don't respect them, you're essentially denigrating his wife's womanhood. And she thinks she can, like, is in a position to confidently do that. That's really what speaks to this being just straight up a personality disorder. Because I don't know how a normal person could do something, like do some of this stuff.
More confidence just in life.
The fucking fake ass fireplace.
That obviously
everything in this clip is fake. He's fake. The tattoos are fake. Fireplace is fake. The guy who looks like he was And
from,
look at this guy.
being
It looks like he was like dressed by Sam Hyde in the Nitro Dubs skit.
to defend myself, and also just
Look at him. He looks like fucking Nitro Dubs. Just look at these shoes. What is this? And the hair and everything. Like, this is like the stereotype. If you were making a stereotype of like gay Zoomer flesh puppet.
Okay, I've heard enough. Let me throw you a curveball here. Anisa, semicolon. Anti-Semitic?
In front of 10,000 people. We have weigh-ins on Friday in the press conference, and then we have the fight on Saturday. On Wednesday, she had such bad anorexia that she was going to die. So she tells Ian,
What? So you're going to die because you're not eating? Isn't that just starvation? Like, you're going to starve. And it takes like a long time to starve yourself.
I'm gonna die, but if I go to the hospital, they're gonna hold me and I'm gonna miss the event.
Wait. She says
Yeah, they'll hold you probably because they'll be like, this bitch is insane, and put you on a 48-hour 5150 type hold.
she's like, my anorexia is acting up and I'm gonna die.
Yes, the Wednesday
Fuck
before
is
the
the story?
fight.
So that's
literally,
like
he's
because
supposed
she's
to fight.
obviously. I mean, she doesn't appear to be not. She appears to be of healthy weight. I don't know.
She looked. I would have never guessed. I wouldn't have thought she was gonna die.
Anyone can have anorexia. Olivia said.
Right.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have thought she was going to die on Wednesday. You know, I saw her. I didn't think she's going to die, but she's telling Ian. And so I'm like, if I was going to fight and my wife 3 days before my
Wait,
fight.
how does this square with the Denny's lore, though? That they love Denny's and eat at Denny's all the time. I mean, obviously it doesn't square because this is all just a fucking lie. Like, she has anorexia and bulimia at the same time, probably.
He's like, hey, I'm going to die, but I can't go to the hospital because then I'm going to miss your fight. I would be so stressed out from that. And so it was just like, how are you stressing Ian out about this freaking...
It's all about her.
Yes.
And what I've noticed too is that, like, knowing them for so many years and traveling with them and being with them all the time, I realized that it's something that she does. She has this way of always sabotaging every single moment before she's about to have a big moment. You know what I mean?
Makes it about her.
Correct. Like, for example, for CC1, she decided, she came to the gym and she was like, oh, our lease is ending and we need to buy a new house right now. Otherwise, I'm going to be homeless. The world's ending. So then Ian had to go and try to buy a new house for her, but then he couldn't because he had to sell his house in San Diego first. Otherwise, he wasn't going to be able to do that. So then they had to sell the house in San Diego, then buy like their over $1 million house in Seattle.
August 3rd, San Diego. That's what he should have said to her. When she's like, yeah, sell your house, he should have just been like, August 3rd, San Diego.
The week or two before CC1, okay? And then for CC2, like before he was supposed to start training for his fight camp, right? But then they didn't come and train. And then she decided that she was going to have her tits removed, like during his fight camp.
Oh, that was the second one.
I said CC2.
Oh, yeah.
So hold on. Yeah, I remember, by the way, a long time ago, they came out to hang out with me and Hila. And
yeah, I mean, this is like a common thing among people like that with personality disorders. It's to sabotage everything around. There needs to be a crisis. There has to be a problem, and it's always a problem that like can't be solved almost intentionally.
You know, I find it interesting that she always seemed to have always hated me, despite pretending to be my friend for a long time. But she came over, and we were
it just sounds like she hates everyone.
hanging out, and she just was like, "So I'm getting
yeah,
fit."
and drop an N-bomb. No, yeah. Actually, you know what? You're right. Yeah, that's what Ian should have been like. Ian should have just been like, we gotta buy a house, sell your house in San Diego. Oh my god. And then Ian just looks her in the eye and then says, you're a homosexual person of color.
Because they said he was going to come into the gym when she couldn't be there. But then when she couldn't come in, he never came in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was his thing. Where he needs
Because he's only doing the boxing at her urging. Because she has some weird psycho plan to make him relive his child abuse.
He made a comment recently where he's like, "When Anisa's not with me, I don't know what to say." And I'm
Which
like,
is
dude,
crazy.
what happened to you? Who are
Which
you?
is
She
crazy.
tells him when he's hungry, when he's tired. How's he gonna know?
That's
those
why
things?
he's definitely in a gimp outfit at home.
But then some of the times it was actually him, and she was actually the one keeping him like to stay the course. But at the same time, he didn't want to box, and she was the one that wanted him to box. That's what it seemed.
There
like.
we go. That line exactly is what I've been waiting for. Because I've been saying as if it's been confirmed that the whole entire boxing thing was her idea. Now it's obvious, there's no denying it, but I'm glad that he just finally he's just outright said it, that the only reason that the boxing is even occurring is at her urging.
Yeah, you know, here's a good example. Like, when the whole Froggy Fresh thing happened, right? They were actually at our home because one of our mutual friends, David Benavides, who's a pro boxer, he was fighting that night, and Ian had met David Benavides through one of the YouTube podcast events that we were doing, and at the Benavides gym here in Washington. And so Michael and I paid out of our own pocket to get pay-per-view. We invited Ian and Anisa over to watch the fight of David Benavides, and because the Froggy Fresh drama went down, they spent the whole time in my bedroom on Twitter reading all the comments,
God.
and it was the craziest thing ever. And that's when I was
So
like, man,
Properties. No, I'm just well, that was kind of it. But when
Well, yeah, they said they hate landlords, even though they are a landlord.
he did his show, because we went to Vegas to promote the event, and when he went to do his podcast, he didn't have a chair for her, so she was super offended by that.
pissed.
She was so pissed.
Jewish.
Just because he didn't have a... Oh my god.
Did he?
You know what that is? That's like a classic narcissistic injury. I know people love like throwing these terms around. I am too, like recently. about more than just these guys. They throw it around with Ricardo, whatever, but like that is a narc entry. Like, you don't have a chair for me, because, and then you spin that into it's because you don't think I'm a real person, or you don't think I'm important, or whatever.
Did he not get her a chair? Is Gracie by chance Jewish?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, Stefan, good question. Good question. Yeah.
You're obviously Jewish.
Well, she might have thought so.
Her, so she had to sit in the back far away, and she wasn't in frame, and so she thought that was so offensive that he would, like do a podcast with Ian and not.
Wait, let me pull that up.
Yeah.
So we go to eat breakfast in a hotel, and she's like, "I have a podcast today,"
Yeah.
and then Ian didn't say anything, so we're like, "Oh, she has a podcast, but Ian doesn't have a podcast." And then we go to Super Mega House, and it was Ian's podcast, and we're like, "Why didn't Ian say he had a podcast today?" Instead, she kept talking about how she had a podcast to do, and it was so odd because then when we got there, it was like, "Wait, this is Ian's podcast." Like,
I don't know if I've noticed that when they come on together.
So much of these little anecdotes are just confirming what everybody has been saying for years, like the way that their relationship is behind the scenes. And it's one of those things where it's an unseen truth, where everyone knew that it was like this behind the scenes because it just had to be based off the way that the few interactions we do see and just the way she acts online. But this is just direct, like, first person, highest level of proof that this is how it is.
Together, she does.
It just cannot be denied anymore. If they try to do all this stupid shit, it's like, oh, these incels are just assuming so much about, you don't know anything about our relationships. Like, well, here's the evidence. Here it is.
You know why we moved away from LA was because she had all these friends that wanted to use Ian and just take from him.
Oh my God,
just total projections.
Yeah.
She is so doing textbook isolating him.
Yeah, she's isolating him, and literally besides me and Michael.
Yeah, it's like I said at the beginning. Like he's so silent. Like he must literally only talk to her, and maybe like. I keep saying Hassan, but I don't think it is. I don't think he really talks to Hassan at all, because Hassan don't got time for that. He's too busy fighting the third Intifada. So it must just literally be Anisa, and that's why he keeps like having these wildly out of unreal perceptions about his status.
He doesn't have any friends.
Wait, this is actually really sad.
He has no friends as well. It's ridiculous.
that's why I would feel bad for him.
Yeah.
That's why I felt bad all the time. I'm like, man, it's just sad.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
he was
it's
really
Froggy
upset with
Fresh.
his post-fight speech. But he was,
Yeah,
he was
this
one
is
of the
the guy
people
who
that
replaced
like
Froggy.
came out and he on his IG and all these other things, he still promotes the event all the time.
He's very supportive.
And so I'm like, a lot of the people that like supported it the most or got the most out of it, like Dad or him, are also people that they were like, I don't know,
I don't care for.
Is this
Yeah, they just hate, and they hate everyone. Like even the people who most support them. And I guess it's the isolating. Maybe it's Anissa's thinking that these people are getting too close to being actual friends, and that they might, tell Ian he's retarded, like give him, constructive criticism about his conduct. So she has to like push them away. I don't know if it's that calculating. Although I really shouldn't put anything past it at this point. Like I said, I'm firmly out of the they're just negligent retards corner, and I'm in that they're malicious. And if I'm going to say that, then I really can't put it past that she's that calculated.
Right.
So
They were super offended by it, and they were like, "Oh, I can't believe you did that."
Why?
Like there was a lot of stuff that they was just kind of in passing. Like I wasn't ever.
Well, there is no why. I said this before. Like people like this with these kind of disorders, they just everything is wrong. Like he could have said nothing, and she would have said that it was wrong because there has to be a problem. There has to be a crisis.
really taking notes.
People have to be anxious all the time. Like she wants people to be anxious all the time because she somehow gains some like. I don't know. It really is like a psychic vampire type thing.
On all the people.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was just there was so much. Plus, there was. I mean, a lot happened in those 2 years, and yeah, a lot of it. Like I thought there was gonna be a damn documentary on, so I thought a lot of stuff would have came out, and it never did. So anytime he was there without her, after sparring, a lot of times like the guys all hang out together, and that's usually when she would interrupt it and then tell him he had to leave. But then when she wasn't there, he'd hang out for like an hour and a half after his training session and just like hang out and talk to the guys, watch training. He actually seemed like he liked it at those points. So it was very odd that sometimes he would seem like he hated boxing, and then other times like that when she was gone, he would hang out for an hour and a half after the session.
Yeah, you would see moments of him breaking through and being his true self, and then I would have hope for him. But then she would go and like have like a talking point, and then he would back her. So then I'm just like, you know what? Forget it. I don't feel sorry for you anymore, Ian.
Based. Absolutely based. Yeah, I mean, she's right. Like with this, you can't, when you pay people sympathy for misbehavior like this, especially in like a situation like this, you're just encouraging them to continue. You're rewarding poor behavior. You have to.
I didn't know sometimes.
Again, bullying. He needs constructive bullying.
Because
And
sometimes
that's why she's isolating him, because any like actual group of male friends who aren't like stupid or enabling would basically bully him out of this.
he would say,
Creator Clash 2, where she gave a speech, and she had gone up there, and I remember she said her speech began with, "When I gifted Ian boxing."
What?
Oh man. Yeah, I wish someone had recorded this speech because I bet you there's more gold like that. But when I gifted Ian, yeah, so she's taking credit for it, obviously, like everything.
And then she went
When
on to
I
explain
gifted
it.
Ian boxing,
We're always fascinated by that choice of words, and it's something my partner and I, my
How do you
podcast
get-
partner,
oh,
always.
that's
That's
fun.
what we always say. We always do that whenever someone's doing something they enjoy. I'm like, well, ever since I gifted you video games,
Yeah.
wow,
I finally
what a
enjoy
weird
them.
comment.
He has a very nice tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh, they're nice.
Also, like,
Thanks.
we can actually clear it up. Like, they literally did say that when they go get tattoos, they either point at the wall and get one off the wall, or what they would do, they would tell the tattoo artist
Yeah, and that's another thing everyone theorizes. Glad we have confirmation that they're just pointing at random shit on the wall.
that if he had a tattoo he really wanted to do, then he could just do it on them.
It's tough
And so,
to explain.
like,
It really is. It's just the only horizon that we haven't crossed. It's like we got the pegging confirmation from them. We've got the like she's hitting on people confirmation. We've got the like total narcissistic fucking crazy narc behavior confirmation. The last horizon is just someone who she's had sex with saying it, like coming on either this show or some other show and just being like, here is every detail of my sex with Anisa. That is the last thing. Everything else, every other horizon has been crossed.
all these tattoos meant nothing except to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so odd to just go in and say, hey, if I'm like,
agree more.
she was putting tattoos all over Ian.
Yeah, during his
We're like,
fight,
what the hell? This is crazy.
The fact that their tattoos are like the same makes me think like, why did he do that? Why did he do all that?
What happened was she even told us, she used to always tell her mom, I'm going to be with a millionaire. And so we think that once she
Oh my god.
Tell her mom that she would be with a millionaire?
Oh my god.
How do you know
Her
that?
mom told her that.
That is not, I wouldn't even call that a red flag. That's just like, there's a burning cross on your lawn of this person is mentally ill.
It had to be someone rich.
How did you know that?
Well, she told
would
us.
tell us that.
It was. I know. I remember exactly.
And then to brag about it. You know, it's one thing to say that to your mom when you're like a teenage girl or whatever, and then you never speak of it again because you grow up and you realize how like wrong thinking that is. But to then keep bragging about it and be like, yeah, so I won.
It was when we were in Vegas going to the other podcast, and we were inside the Uber, and we were with Ian and Anisa, and Anisa said that like her mom only had two expectations for her to marry someone that was rich and also to be of her religion, right? And so she said that Anisa goes, well, I mean, I didn't get someone that was of my religion, but at least I got one part of it right. He's rich, and then
Well, actually, you did get someone of her religion because you're not Muslim, Anissa. You're atheist, which is a religion. Or I guess maybe she wouldn't she'd call herself spiritual, whatever stupid fucking new age term she would use. She's that religion. And so is Idubbbz, because Idubbbz, you talk shit about Christianity all the time. So you did get someone of your religion, the like nihilist death cult religion.
and she like laughed about it, and he was in the car, and you could tell he was bothered by it.
I was bothered.
Who wouldn't be bothered by that?
You could say he was near your-
Yeah, this is on. It's never. It's like a fountain.
This is awesome.
That's really great.
I felt like she
Yeah, I understand why this is so long now, why this is like a full hour, because there's just so much.
was always trying to control him because she was the first girl he'd ever been with.
Yeah.
I felt like she didn't want other people. Like I felt like that was.
Did you know that?
With him.
That he
Yeah,
was,
I mean,
you knew that?
he said he
Yeah, okay.
claimed.
Just to verify, because people are like, oh, you're making that up. You guys.
No, and the other thing is that's something that has been on Kiwi Farms for years. And that's fine that these people don't know that. I don't expect everybody to be autistic and read like through the 3,000 page thread, but it is. I do like to see these guys talk about it because it's just signal boosting it, right?
You guys are co-signing. He was a virgin.
Well, he claimed he was
He
with
still is. My theory is he's still a virgin. He still hasn't had sex.
one other woman before her.
Oh.
So what Anisa told us was
Button
that
at camp. Button.
yeah.
I'm
So
kidding.
Anisa told us that Ian had a girlfriend, but he never had sex with her, and that she was a single mom.
So he lied.
And-
What?
Oh, so that's why he clung to Anissa, because obviously compared to a single mother, he thought that it was like a massive upgrade.
What?
Yeah,
He
and
was a
that
single
that's
mom?
like he couldn't get anybody.
I
so
heard
like,
this.
So like this.
He was dating a single mom?
Well, she
Yeah.
he was
And they
Something
had
about
sex
some
with
sort
her?
of MILF at rock climbing or something.
Yes,
Yes.
rock climbing,
Oh,
yeah.
rock climbing MILF with a child, and then they never had sex?
Only single player.
So hold on. So he says they had sex, but she says they didn't have sex.
I couldn't figure it out, but I swear.
So Anisa told me directly that like he dated a single mom and it went nowhere, and he didn't know how to be in a relationship. So then they just kind of like broke up after a little bit, and then when Anisa met him, he was still living with his parents, right?
Yep.
And then she convinced him that he had to move out of his parents' house and buy a house, or she was going to break up with him because she needed him to be a real man.
Yeah.
And so that's when he took his $1 million
Buy her a house. That's what that really means.
of money and went and bought that house that they lived in.
But also, then you saw on Discord that she said that his room in his parents' house stunk like trash, is what she told her people on Discord. So it's like, no wonder why she wanted him to move out of that house. His room stunk like trash.
She wanted him to move out because she wanted to get her claws deeper.
I think
Well, yeah, no, and that's the thing is like it's not abnormal. Like it makes sense. Like you're a woman, you're dating a man, you want it to actually go somewhere, that you want to have a home together. Okay, that's fine. Like in another person in a normal functional relationship makes sense. But yeah, no, she's right here. This was very clearly like an isolating tactic. This was this was not, she did not want Idubbbz to be a man or whatever. She just wanted a free house.
Take this.
Bonafide boxing. I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
That was,
Right after the second creator class.
Yeah, it was
And no world.
Yeah.
Wait, why? When was that? When did he say that?
that was
Right after
yeah.
the second.
He said it like in a mean way?
Signing as a guarantor, and he had told us in no world could he ever help us.
He said that?
No world could he ever help us.
Yeah.
Literally.
He said it like in a mean way?
That's crazy. Why would you say it like that?
Yeah.
He really hated these guys. He really hated this couple. I know I said before that I kind of want to hear his side of it, because he would come up, whatever reason he gives for why he hates them is going to be crazy, and it's going to get picked apart immediately. But I'd like to hear like what the cope is, because it really just sounds completely irrational that they just hate them for no reason. And the only like logical explanations all make them look conniving. Like it's Anisa afraid that Idubbbz is getting too close to someone. It's or like something like that.
Let me give you some referrals or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but instead they responded with, "In no world would we or would we like help you guys."
Why so mean? Why were they so mean?
And I believe that was Anisa texting, not Ian, because those are her words. She always uses the words "in no world." That's her favorite word.
Yeah.
Okay, so the claim here is that Anisa has his phone. I mean, I wouldn't put it like, after everything we've heard, that she's telling him when he's hungry and tired that she has his phone.
Yeah.
In no world, Anisa?
So
Should you ever be running an event again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank God. Well, yeah.
This is crazy. I mean, there's so much here, and the way they talked about this, they have to respond, right? Because like this is just the straight up malignant narcissism on full display is the stories they're telling here, and I don't know how they. I mean, I imagine that what he's going to respond to is the idea that they didn't get paid, because obviously he, in his stupid autism brain, he's going to think, oh, well, that's the only thing that matters, because if people believe that, then people won't work with me, right? If I'm a guy who doesn't pay the employees, and people, they're not going to think of any of the moral issues of any of this, because they're crazy. So they have to respond to that, and then they just, I guess they won't respond to the narcissism stuff. They'll just say, oh, well, you're so mean for exposing us in our private moments that we didn't expect to be blasted online. Not at all responding to why people see these moments as so malignant.